narrated Anas, may Allah be pleased with him, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "None of you will have faith till he likes for his Muslim brother what he likes for himself." Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. What I like about this hadith is it reminds you to keep track of your jealousy. And the very peculiar thing about us human species is that we get jealous over different things. Some could be something as simple as the ability to travel wherever you want at will. Some, it could be the fact that you can work remotely. Others, the fact that you have an intact family. Whatever it is, you have to check yourself and realize that if you want it for yourself, you should want it for other people. The peculiar part as well is how we are a competitive species, and that we have the haves and the have-nots, and how desperate we are to remain in a hegemonic position, a sort of survivalist mentality that can prevent a lot of people from having empathy and mercy for others. As believers, we have that duty towards each other that we should want to help others achieve what we've achieved and not be angry at those who have achieved more, and that we should be happy for them, ask Allah to bless them for it, and that we ourselves must regulate, like really look inside and say, okay, they got it, Allah allowed them to have it, so let's all keep it cool. But it's difficult for many people to do that because we can tend to be selfish. And sometimes we'll be selfish about the most peculiar things. Things that on the surface don't even really matter. It could be someone has the new gaming console that we wanted. Someone had the ability to go on vacation when others can barely afford rent. And you have to consistently work with yourself and say, what does Islam require me to do? How am I supposed to get better? Well, we have learned clearly that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, none of you will have faith till he likes for his Muslim brother what he likes for himself. So again, it's a stark reminder about what it is to have faith. So if someone asks us, what's a sign of having faith in Islam? We would say, well, we like for our fellows in faith what we like for ourselves. Men can sometimes come across as people who have a great ability to have brotherhood. Women tend, I think, based on the empirical evidence that I've seen throughout my life, which may be anecdotal, but they're the more jealous types. She has better this, better that, look at the clothes. It's all materialistic garbage. And some women do like to flex on others who are poor. If you just think about the whole gold digger and the pick-me-sha phenomenon, like, oh, you look like who did it and why, you didn't marry a rich guy, you're a pick-me-sha, you'll do without, oh, that's disgusting. You have women who will look down on third world women and be like, you guys aren't worthy, they'll degrade them. This occurs a lot in America. Now, when you look at the immigrant, if you welcome your fellow Muslim and say, I want you to be able to experience a place where there's better medical care. Okay, cool. We got that here. Welcome. So you like for your brother or sister in faith to experience the health care you experience. There's different types of experiences as well. And this is reminiscent of the saying, treat others how you want to be treated. But this doesn't, I don't think in my head, refer to a consistent happiness Disneyland ego. If you were screwing up and you knew it, You'd want someone to tell you, even if they have to tell you gently. If you're being stubborn, they have to tell you firmly, and you have to have this skin to withhold that type of retention. What I mean is, let's say you're really messing up. Okay? You are gambling. And someone told you nicely, and you're not really following the rules. And then they have to come to you and tell you, hey, you can't be doing this and that. And then you realize, okay, when someone tells me nicely, I don't really listen, and I need someone to tell me more strictly. And then that means you're going to, get your feelings hurt. Sometimes a blunt truth must be told, and it's a good dose of medicine. The truth sometimes is bitter. It's not always coated in sugar. But you'd like for someone to correct you so that you can be prevented from further heartaches. And so you like that for yourself, and you should want it for others as well. When people stop telling each other things like that are uncomfortable truths, it can hinder progress. So this hadith that Anas narrated, may Allah be pleased with him, from the Prophet, peace be upon him, where none of you will have faith till he likes for his Muslim brother what he likes for himself, you can apply that in so many areas. So many areas. So imagine when someone says, like, why do I care? It's not my problem. There's times where that can make sense, but then there's other times where you realize, you know what? I wouldn't like for somebody to say this, and that behind my back and then not tell me up front. So you know what? Let me not go behind this person's back and tell them up front what I think. Or let's say you have a very nice garden and somebody is like, hey man, that looks really nice, and can I have some pumpkins? Because it's like pumpkin season. And you're like, no, I don't want that. And that person was like planning on giving it to some kids. You'd be like, you know what? If someone had some extra pumpkins, I'd like for them to give me a couple ones for free so that I can make some kids happy who can't afford a pumpkin this year to eat in a nice pumpkin pie, or, it's food. And there's so many people with food insecurity, I might as well help people out. You'd want them to be giving because you one time might need, or several times for that matter, someone to be giving towards you. I can think of so many examples where this would apply. Let's say you're at a wedding. You're not supposed to free mix. But let's just say you can't avoid it, because sometimes in life you can't avoid it, right? And let's imagine a situation where the bridesmaids are gossiping about how fat the bride looks. And you are like, we shouldn't be talking about the bride this way. She invited us to be the bridesmaids. We need to knock it off. It's not okay. And then the people, they turn on you like, oh, you're such a, goody two-shoes or whatever. See, you wouldn't want your bridesmaids to be mocking you on your special day, so don't do it to them. It's really, really quite fascinating how better people would be if they kind of thought of this hadith more often. It's difficult. It's not easy to apply. I think that as humans, we can be very selfish and have a scarcity mindset. When you look at how many zombie movies turn into different factions warring for territory, warring for resources, you begin to see like, might makes right in so many situations, and turning that off can be quite the uphill battle. And women in general, they like to be better than others sometimes, because we have a sort of social hierarchy where we want to feel special, we want to have an edge. Now, I'm not telling you to be some type of communist, egalitarian, no one can be on top. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just talking about your ethical behavior, the way in which you conduct yourself. Alright? I'm not saying that because you have 12 pairs of shoes that you want someone else to have 12 pairs of shoes, but rather You have some shoes. There's a kid somewhere who doesn't or needs another pair because the ones they're wearing are beat up. You'd want to have some shoes on their feet because you have shoes on your feet. You see what I'm saying? And so that is very touching for us when we begin to think of all the examples where if we apply this hadith, we'll become better and have more mercy. Allah is the most merciful. So we ourselves have to practice on being merciful. We'd want people to have mercy for us on our mistakes. Now, here's a tricky one that might make some women upset. Let's say a woman gets caught watching adult content. She'd want to be forgiven. So then she must too forgive her husband. You see how that works? But far too many women will say, rules for thee, but not for me. Now, I often say things to my children like, that's not fair, don't do this. And one of my friends said, yeah, well, life's not fair. That's true. That's true. But there are times where we can be like, hey, don't take more than you need because that leaves others without. We want to stretch those resources, so let's make sure we do that. It makes me think about Netflix's The Platform movie 1 and 2. And subhanAllah, that's one of my favorite movies because it's about a prison that's vertical, and when you're on level 1, there's a big old buffet of food, and there's over, I think, 333 levels, at least over 300 if I recall. And the elevator buffet table gets lower down into the prison cells, and as it gets lower and lower, there's less food. And some people eat more than they need, and if they could eat less, it would mean that others would get fed. But each person shows that they are deeply selfish and unable to control their hunger. So they're not doing what they would want others to do to them. They're purely selfish. But the people kind of start a revolution where it's like, no, we must enforce that people only take as much as they need because we would like to eat, so we want others to eat too. And we have empathy for those who don't have food because it's a 30-day cycle on each level of the prison. And that means some people will not have food for 30 days and cannibalism becomes a problem. So, even in fictional examples, we can see this. It's harder, though, to apply this when you're in a state of war, right? But if you think about ethics in all its different little contexts, interpersonal, business, all that jazz, you begin to see the wisdom of this hadith and also struggle with how you would apply it. And then you would, during this deeply introspective moment, begin to notice your own faults, which is very rewarding, I'd argue. Let me know what you think. Please like, comment, subscribe, join the blog.